I had an amazing playground at Boardroom, which was most of my early history. And the playground involved being, hiring only the best copywriters, only the best consultants, only the best of the best. Because Marty Edelston, the founder of Boardroom, created a true learning organization. And what that means is that you go outside for everything that you don't have inside. I mean, Gene Schwartz was my friend. Anybody who's listening to this who knows who Gene Schwartz is, some people come up to me and goes, "Oh, can I touch you? You touch Gene Schwartz." And I'm like, wow, this is weird, But I have the exclusive rights to Breakthrough Advertising and the Brilliance Breakthrough, Gene's books. And, I consider Gene and Gary Bencivenga and Jim Rutz and then Mel Martin, who was our secret weapon copywriter. That's my original Mount Rushmore of copywriters. I didn't work with Halbert. Halbert would have been on my Mount Rushmore. He was on my Mount Rushmore for educational purposes, but I never worked with him really. He never did a package for me at Boardroom. He was just too crazy to work with, as you know. I mean, I couldn't make a deal with him. He was just so off the wall when we discussed, him doing something for us. But just a brilliant, one of the most amazing minds ever. And he was just a free spirit. And that made him great. That's what made him a great copywriter, too. Just like Gene Schwartz. Gene Schwartz, in another way, became a great copywriter by walking around on the outside, by observing.
Even still to this day, some of his ads, they just make me kind of think that he was a time traveler. He was so far ahead of his day in terms of sophistication and savvy, that it's hard to believe that there was somebody like him back in those days that was producing even some of his space ads.
He wrote Breakthrough Advertising in 1966. 1966. Yeah. And the book is 100% relevant today, which is amazing.
Yeah, if any of our listeners haven't read Breakthrough Advertising, I'm the opposite of a lot of guys. I don't read a lot of books. I prefer to study competitors and reverse engineer funnels and things like that. But Breakthrough Advertising, I think I've read that book about 10 times. And every time I read it, I think I get more than the last time I read it.
With my marketing partner, Chris Mason, we developed a 500-page companion volume, Breakthrough Advertising Mastery, which was actually, so the first half of the book are worksheets and exercises from the book. And the second half of the book are 4-color ads of every ad Gene mentions in Breakthrough Advertising. Like in Breakthrough Advertising, he has a couple of headlines of ads. There was a copywriter from Brazil, Luis Flavio Nunez, writes me an email one day. It's important. This important lesson here is read your emails. So I have this email from this guy from Brazil, young copywriter in his 20s, and said, "Brian, I want to do a 55th anniversary of Breakthrough Advertising." I find out the kid's in his 20s, and he's studying Gene Schwartz at that level. He found every ad that Gene mentioned in Breakthrough Advertising, and he said, "You want them?" And I said, "Yeah. How much do you want for them?" And he said nothing, because, he wants to. And that just tells you that there are young NGs, new gangsters, not old gangsters like me and you, but new gangsters who just love the business. They love not just the history, but the learnings that you can get from. And as you said, you don't have to read all the books, but you have to study what's been written in the past.
Well, he's one of the greats, no doubt about it. There are guys that are hard to learn from, and there are guys that are easy to learn from. There are guys that their genius is kind of hidden in their advertising, and then there's guys where their genius is on full display.
Yeah.
And Gene Schwartz's genius is on full display in his ads. Well, one of the most valuable things for me that I ever learned, I initially learned it from Halbert, but it was crystallized by Bencivenga. Like Gary Halbert was constantly studying competitor ads, and we would do it like every single day. We would go for breakfast together. He would buy the newspaper and he would just tear ads out of the newspaper. He would also be talking to, list brokers, and he would be constantly getting like the hottest direct mail packages. And we were always reverse engineering them. But Bencivenga had the ad a day diet. And that really crystallized for me the habit of studying brilliant advertising. And, all these years later, I can look back and say that there's probably 3 or 4 things that have had a profound impact on my ability to generate sales. And one of those things was a habit of studying other ads. It started with studying ads, and then it morphed into reverse engineering sales funnels. And what I found was the more ads that I study, the more money I made when creating advertising. And then I moved into sales funnels, like complete sales funnels online. And I started to realize, hey, I can invest, an hour or two reverse engineering a sales funnel. I can immediately transfer that into an almost overnight surge in sales and profits. And therefore, every single week, even 19 years later, every single week, I'm buying and reverse engineering at a minimum, I would say 2 funnels a week. And, to me, I cannot think of a greater habit than that you can cultivate as a business owner, as a marketer, as a copywriter, as an advertiser, than to be constantly and consistently and habitually reverse engineering, identifying your competitors rather, and reverse engineering what it is that they are doing to be successful. I have found no faster way to generate, surges in sales and revenue and conversion than doing that.
So if you enjoyed this clip and you'd like to benefit from more monetization secrets, go and register now for Monetization Daily. You can go to monetizationresearch.com to get it. It is a free newsletter that is absolutely awesome. It is delivered to your email inbox, and it contains lots of great monetization tips, tactics, and strategies that you will love. Again, head on over to monetizationresearch.com to get it now.